Good morning, afternoon, folks. This is the Uncensored Report. This is Frankie or Francesco Abbruzzino, and the goal of this show is to educate, inspire, and affect change within the neighborhood out there. Let me finish it up. I'm just taking my daily wheatgrass shot, which I can't even begin to explain the benefits of it, but I was just in the middle of it, so hold on. Tastes horrible. But the health benefits of drinking wheatgrass is tremendous. Research it, Google it. Maybe sometime I'll come on and talk about it. But one of my friends, I actually turned her onto it, and now she's going around. She basically started a company, and it's a health company, and she's going around delivering this product to your house. And so you essentially you give her the money, and she'll deliver the wheatgrass into your mailbox every day on ice. If you want it every day, I think my wife set up for us to do it every other day. So it's a good thing there. And I tell you what, you get so much energy from that. When I first took the wheatgrass, I took it and I was exhausted. Next thing I know, I had a burst of energy. And I was like, you know what? For $2, this is a lot better than going out and getting a caffeine cup of coffee at Starbucks for $4 or a $2 Dunkin' Donut coffee, which I love, by the way. Lots of issues. It's Monday. We're going to talk about a lot of different things today. We're a couple weeks away from Thanksgiving, and the holiday season is starting to get sparked up. I heard some controversy while I was on the gym today where a person was starting a protest, and I wish I remember the name of it, but essentially she's protesting against Kmart because Kmart has come out, and everyone's got this quest to be open longer or open the first and before everybody else, and Kmart's is doing a 48-hour opening. And originally her petition started because she wanted her mom not to have to work all those hours. They've accommodated the mother, but now it continues, and she said, hey, we got to fight for everybody else's right not to have to work all these hours, which is a good thing out there. Lots of news hidden out there. Gruber, we're going to talk about this guy today with Obamacare. Obviously, I think Obamacare sign-ups begin today. You got Pelosi saying, who is this guy? And then you go back to previous speeches, and she's referring to him. John Kerry just referred back to him. They've paid him close to $6 million, different entities, governmental entities, for his expert advice. He's been to the White House 5 times. He's talked to Obama on a few occasions. Yep, Obama came out like, oh, just heard about this. Didn't know what was happening. It's a shame that such a scam could be played on American people, that they took advantage. Everyone knows it's not the stupidity of the American, it's that the Americans believe there's good in people. When they go to government, they're there for the better interest of the people, not self-serving as Obama and his administration have been. So we're going to start out today. We're just going to talk a little bit about economics, and if you guys watch my show, you know that I think it's a huge fraud, the economy, under both leaderships, Republican and Democrat. It's a joke. And, essentially, nobody can predict how long the government can get away with this essentially fake growth, fake money that's being put out there, the fake jobs report, the fake financial stability, the inflation number, don't get me going there. How about the fake income growth? It's not there. Do we not think optimism is warranted? And we think a lot of the data is cooked and misleading. I've been coming on this show repeatedly saying that, especially about the jobs number and the inflation number. There's numerous phony claims that are issued by the government, and I just don't get it. And I think they're going under that general philosophy that led them to roll out Obama. Not to be transparent. The American people are stupid. And I think they're running with that on every aspect of the government. Every aspect, folks. Let's look at a few here. Unemployment. They're claimed to be by the officialdoms that it doesn't include, that the number's 5.8. Here's the issue, though. It doesn't include people who have given up finding a job. And there are numerous people out there that have given up on it. Or how about those who were formerly employed full-time and now are able to find part-time jobs? It doesn't count them. Let me tell you something, folks. Going from 40 to 20 hours a week, Going from $20 an hour to $10 an hour or $8 an hour, that's an impact. It doesn't count part-time employment as a real employment when the people get involved in what want a steady job. When it's counting that as when they're counting that as a steady job, it's almost deceitful. And I've said this before, the real unemployment rate is twice what the government's probably telling us, if not more. I wouldn't even say more, because I think unemployment's at 5.8 or something like that right now. I'd say it's upward over 15%, folks. How about the inflation? I've harped on that for a while. And it's basically they're cherry-picking numbers. What in the basket of goods whose costs are totaled into the CPI, it is regularly changed on to reflect the government's reassuring claim or their agenda that the inflation rate's 1.5%. And essentially you got this basket out there, I don't know, 30, 40 items, whatever numbers they look at, and they can pull, and they pull, I don't know what the exact number is, maybe 7 of them out of the 30 to come up with their CPI. They pull the more favorable ones. Now, if this was a transparent government, they would come in and pull the same numbers every time. I would think they'd pull all 30 if there are important variables in figuring out the figuring out the inflation rate. But they don't. They go out there, they cherry pick the ones that are looking the best, that will get them the rate they want. And then they come out and tell us, hey, there is no inflation. And they believe we are stupid enough to buy into that. They believe this, folks. Another thing that's killing is the QE, the making of the dollars, left and right. The dollar, it basically has no backing. You know, go to a supermarket and you tell me, I go to Publix weekly shopping. I challenge any politician to go there and tell me that there is no inflation. If they go to my Publix, they'll get a good lesson on inflation. Obviously, just going once is going to do it, but over time. How about the Federal Reserve? They waged a war on the dollar with their program dubbed QE, quantitative easing, which is just a clever name for a thieving process that creates the dollars out of nothing. Just pulls them out of thin air. They got a Dollar Tree in the backyard. That's what I tell my kids. Do you see a money tree in the backyard? I'm not the Fed. They flood it. They flood the market with these dollars. And all QE is an inflation. It's pure inflation. That's pure and simple, folks. It may have helped the big two to fail banks, their friends, but the American people continue to face higher prices, fewer jobs, and deceitful statistics from our government. When is this sham going to end? What to do about this? What do we do? I'd love to see an audit of the Fed, but that's not going to happen. You know, the Fed's private. It's not a government entity. It's not a public entity, folks. Yet they have so much control over us. This Fed, this private entity owned by international bankers. You know, there have been about, over 300 members of Congress that went out there and demanded, hey, we need to do this audit. And they're waiting for the approval of the Senate, which isn't going to happen under Harry Reid. I'm not so confident that it will happen under McConnell either. Maybe then we'll get the respect we deserve and they'll go out and they'll audit this private entity and see what's going on, but I don't see it happening. And you know, the fact is, if the full truth of the Fed were known, public sentiment aimed at having it abolished would mushroom. It would explode. If people knew truly the Ponzi scheme that the Fed was behind and backing in support of the banksters, this private entity owned by international banksters, then there would be moves to end deficit spending, cut back the size of the government, eliminating unconstitutional agencies and bureaus like Department of Education, Energy, Housing, Foreign Aid. It would be a boon to the nation, I tell you, folks. Also, Congress should put an end to the creation of the so-called free trade agreements that are out there. They're causing businesses to flee the United States for cheaper labor overseas. And how about a little bit of truth in government, folks? Demand truth from our government officials. Is that too much to ask? All of them, starting from your local council person up to the president. The course this country is heading towards, it amounts to suicide. Those who provide the fake data in the cookbooks are steering America into a world government operated under the UN. You have people like the Brown family going up to the UN asking them to arrest Wilson. Are you kidding me? Some honesty about that would help to bring about needed corrective actions and guaranteed continued existence of our nation, free and independent. And we need that, folks. We need that. Let's take a quick commercial break, and we'll be right back. Quest for a slimmer you. Longevity brought to you by theroguerant.com. Slender FX weight management system. Chocolate fudge. Formulated for healthy weight loss. This system contains Slender FX PM Cleanse, Sweeties, meal replacement shake with a chocolate fudge taste and a food fiber. Are you serious about losing weight? Get Slender FX weight management system now and begin your quest for a slimmer you. Okay, folks. I'm having major audio problems. If you haven't noticed, that's why I haven't done my videos in a few days due to some audio issues. And it's this program I use, Wirecast, and for some reason with Windows 8 and the latest update, it's just messing it up. And I'm thinking I got to go back and try to get it prior to the update. So we're going to continue a conversation. Longevity, though, check it out, theroguerant.com. I'm a workout freak. I do the vitamins. I do everything. Longevity's got some of the best proprietary blends out there. So definitely check them out. If you don't take vitamins, they may seem expensive, but if you take vitamins, you know they're not expensive, especially when you're getting that better quality. I prefer the organic ones, which we have on the roguerant.com. And I think I put something on my website. If you want to write me, I can basically give you something that breaks down the difference between taking an organic vitamin compared to a synthetic. And it's significant. And what turned me onto it was my buddy Ron was having all kinds of health issues. He's a health nut like me. And he was taking synthetic vitamins. And he started talking to some guy in Hawaii. And the guy's like, look, you got to try organic. You don't know what they're putting in those synthetic vitamins. So he tried the organic, and next thing you know, he didn't have many of the issues he was having. It was, he believes, was traced back to that whole synthetic vitamin thing. So it's interesting stuff there, folks. Very interesting indeed. Now we're going to talk a little bit about Chuck Hagel. Chuck Hagel, and he's out there. Basically, we're overhauling the U.S. nuclear weapon program, our whole arsenal. The nuclear weapon arsenal is maintained, costing billions of dollars, and he wants to put billions more into it to address recent security violations that he has come across, or this institute that did research has come across, and the low morale among the nuclear force management. And he revealed this on Friday, the results of the two reviews that were reported by the AP. Basically, it showed security, safety, morale, leadership lapses among nuclear forces. And I think I put a video on here. It's not even on the nuclear forces, but I'm almost positive I put a video on here a few months ago where essentially a guy just drove into Calvert Cliffs, which is right across from Pax River Naval Air Station, which is where I was stationed, and my wife actually worked at the Calvert Cliffs nuclear power plant back in the early 90s. And back then, I remember I was in the Navy. I couldn't even get on the base, on the nuclear facilities, and my wife had to go through all kinds of security. And now they showed this guy. He was just driving up, drove all around. One day, went back in there. Second day, was able to film everything. Was maybe 50 feet away from the nuclear plant, and it was startling. So images like that, people are starting to see and saying, "Why aren't we protecting these assets?" So with these reviews, they found that, and this is more on the leadership structure, that they found that the leadership, the structure of the U.S. nuclear forces requires some type of reform. They say that the officials have been unaware of problematic behavior and focus of the underlings. The reviews also pointed out that the nuclear workforce that was dedicated, capable, and performing well in spite of some of the challenges that have been resulting from being understaffed, under-resourced, and reliant upon an aging and fragile supporting structure in over-inspected and overly risk-averse environment, which I don't know if that's accurate there, but that's what the report came out with. The Pentagon had their own analysis, and they reported problems with inadequate and aging equipment, which I've reported on here about a lot of the equipment aging. A lot of these nuclear plants are 30, 50 years old, folks. They're starting to deteriorate. They gave an example of one inadequate U.S. nuclear maintenance capabilities found in the reviews, that there was, until recently, just one tool set available to tighten bolts on warheads for a Minuteman III missile outfit, which is startling, and it's concerning. So Hagel's gonna put millions or billions of dollars into this project, try to review it, try to reform it. I hope that includes some of the security lapses that I mentioned a few minutes ago, because some of these failings, they're concerning. They're concerning, especially with our nuclear. And, I think they're focusing on the wrong stuff, though. They're talking about cheating exams and scandals and some of the stuff that's impacted it. But think about it. And this even goes back to the electrical grid, folks, that I've brought up before. If you watch this show, there was an attack in Southern California, on a grid, an electric grid. And they essentially came in, and there was a bunch of people. It was well orchestrated, and they took down this grid. So then a report came out a couple months later, and they said, essentially, if these 9 grids were brought down, we would lose electricity in all of America, which would be devastating to America. And they were going to prepare a report on the action that should be taken to try to preserve the integrity of these grids. Meanwhile, they're still unprotected. My understanding, I haven't seen anything come out saying they're going to take action, they're going to do this, they're going to do that. They're essentially still unprotected, along with the nuclear plants. And people, I'm telling you, you need to be concerned. Think about it. Imagine this. Some crazy ISIS dude comes here. He walks into this nuclear plant like this guy did, this reporter. He gets within 30 feet of the nuclear reactor and decides, boom, to shoot a missile at it. It's not going to be a pretty sight, folks. Or, believe me or not, ISIS isn't some group hanging out in a cave. I think I'm going to cover something here where they're saying they're 200,000 strong. Everybody knows they got the financial backing now. They have the money. They're one of the richest terrorist groups out there. I think they can well orchestrate. They could just come in through the southern border, go to the different points, the 9 different grids, and easily take them all out. I would not see that as being a difficult operation. Yet, what are we doing to protect against this? We need to demand that our government does something. Yet, many people don't know about it. Major media is not really reporting on it, so nobody really knows much about it. We'll be right back, folks. Longevity by the uncensoredreport.com. Ultimate EFA 60 soft gel tablets. Ultimate EFA is 100% organic and features a proprietary blend of essential fatty acids derived organically grown flaxseed oil, herbicide and pesticide free, folks, barrage oil and fish oil. They deliver a healthy balance of omega-3, 6, and 9s. Ultimate EFA. This is a must-have for people who want to derive the benefits of a full range of essential fatty acids organically. For the best results, Ultimate EFA as a part of your full nutritional program that includes Majestic Earth Classic. Okay, folks, we're back. Now, I wanted to talk more about ISIS. I talked about concerns about groups like ISIS that could easily come over here and attack the integrity of our infrastructure with our electric grid, our nuclear facilities, and that stuff. And let's just look at these guys. And I saw this report. It was basically titled "The War on ISIS," and it talks about the Islamic militants and how they have an army that's 200,000 members strong. And this is coming from a claim from a Kurdish leader out there that the Kurds have basically been out there fighting these guys. They haven't ran. like the Iraqi government has. They're saying that ISIS has recruited an army of hundreds of thousands strong, far larger than what the CIA is reporting. He's also stated that the ability of ISIS to attack many widely separated fronts in Iraq and Syria at the same time shows that these militants are at least about 200,000 strong. Now, he doesn't know that. He's just throwing that number out there. But he does believe that they are 7 to 8 times bigger than what the foreign intelligence is stating, which they're stating 31,500. And I actually have to believe that, because to control the landmass of Iraq and Syria and the amount of area they control right now against the forces they're going up against, they have to be stronger than 31,000, folks. I'm not sure if I'm buying what the CIA is selling. You know, they rule 1/3 of Iraq and 1/3 of Syria. The population's between 10 to 12 million people that are living in that area. This is the area of the size of Great Britain. And in that area, they have a lot of candidates, a lot of recruits that would love to join their fight. So think about it. Do you really think 31,000 is the number? The high figure for ISIS combat strength is important because it underlines just how difficult it will be to eliminate ISIS even with just airstrikes. You know, the CIA, they came out with the ISIS numbers back in September. They said 20 to 31,000. And that's the basis they're using for their whole strategy that they're using now. And I just heard today that they're going to ramp up the training of the Syrian forces or Iraqi forces, whichever force. It's not Syrian, but the Iraqi forces, to try to get rid of this ISIS threat. What they basically want to do is take the 1,500 soldiers that are there, break them off into, I think it was 12 different areas, and train these different brigades. You know, and the other problem is we've exceeded the 90 days, like I covered the other day, for the initial approval of bombing the heck out of ISIS. When's the president going to come back and ask for some kind of declaration? We haven't heard anything on that. He continues to essentially break the law with no punitive action whatsoever. Now, the U.S. and its allies were beginning to take on board the obstacles to fulfill Obama's pledge, degrade and destroy ISIS. But to defeat them, many believe that you need a more efficient army of around 80,000 men or more. And that's something that Iraq's not capable of, something that I can't speak today. The Kurds aren't capable of. Now, is this Kurdish leader just saying that to try to draw the United States into there, try to draw our troops into there because it would behoove him? That's something you have to look at too, folks. But the new balance of power in Iraq in the wake of this ISIS group and their offensive and their military engagement is changing. It's changing daily to their advantage. I know they've lost some dams and stuff recently, but I don't think it's impacting them terribly. Kurds leaders are now much more relaxed about ISIS because they have the U.S. guarantee. I don't know if I would take that guarantee to the bank if I were the ISIS folks. Would you? Another sign that these guys are pretty apt is the speed with which they've learned to use captured U.S. tanks, artillery, and heavy equipment. They get out there, they learn it, they pick it up pretty rapidly, boom, they're off, they're using it. The Kurds have recovered their military self-confidence too, though, with the knowledge that the U.S. and Iran are backing them. But there are limits as to how far the Kurds are willing to advance, even if they succeed in doing so. The Kurds can help the Iraqi army, but do they want to? Because essentially the Iraqi army and the Turks have been keeping the Kurds down. They want their own state. So it's not an easy process. There's no easy solution over there. At the moment, the Kurds see little sign of presence. They have been asking for regular troops. They're not seeing it. And it may be too late to establish a competent, cross-confessional regular army in Iraq. It may be too late. We're going to try it, but it may be too late. Because you get the counteroffensive over in Baghdad's led by 3 main Shia militias, which have almost the same ideological fervor and sectarian hatred as ISIS. I've said this many times. So, Egypt, for example. Do you want Mubarak, who's a bad guy? Or do you want democracy to set in this area that is 90% extreme Muslims? Think about it, folks. So now also ISIS, they've gone out. They've decapitated another individual. This was a American veteran. He converted a Muslim while being under captivity. They still chopped his head off, along with a bunch of Syrian refugees. They had Jihad John with Hag's head at the bottom, and now they're worried about a 26-year-old. They haven't released her name, but she's a female. She was over there trying to help. And same with Hagig. He was over there. He was trying to help these people. He was not there fighting. And yet they're capturing them and killing them, decapitating them. Jihad John. So what are we going to do there? Not sure, folks. I think, who was it? There was a Navy SEAL today on Fox. And he was talking. He's like, look, we essentially just got to go in there and just carpet bomb like crazy and send in a ton of troops and show them that we mean business. I don't know if America has the heart for that, though. I don't know if the government wants ISIS destroyed. They're using ISIS to go out there and take down Syria, to work their agenda until it got to the point where it was uncontrollable. And now they have to go in there and try to do something to stop ISIS, which has gotten out of control. So, we'll be right back.
Is your money manager giving you safety and security? Wouldn't you like to make your money work harder for you? Then you should consider joining philsgang.com, where thousands of individual investors have successfully profited.
This year I'm up 60% on my portfolio. Following your system has been fantastic. I've been with you for about a month and a half now, and I'm already up 7%.
I've been in the business for a long time, and you're really one of the best I've ever heard.
Well, I just want to let you know what a great teacher you are.
For over a decade, philsgang.com's Phil Grandy and Donald Cogswell have been teaching, coaching, and investing right along with all Phil's Gang members.
I want to thank Donnie for market wrap. I bought 2,500 shares of AUI and sold it this morning at $820 profit.
Why not join thousands of satisfied Phil's Gang customers today? Go to philsgang.com, philsgang.com, or call 877-600-4264. That's 877-600-4264. Call today.
Okay, folks, we are back, and now we're going to talk a little bit about Obamacare. It's been in the news a lot. As I said, I think today's the sign-up period beginning, and so we're going to talk a little bit. Let's go ahead and start off with Gruber and Gruber's Goobers and the whole Obamacare deception that is out there. And everybody knows this Jonathan Gruber by now if you watch Fox News or alternative news. Now, major media is starting to pick them up, I noticed, over the weekend. And if you don't know, he's the consultant who helped frame Obamacare's law. He started that. Yes, the Obamacare has a tax in its provision thing, and yes, the public was deceived. He's that guy. He came out and said basically that the bill was written as a tortured way to make sure the CBO did not score the mandate as taxes. They did not want that to be seen up front because it would never pass. If the CBO scored it that way, it would have died. So, is it a tax? Is it a penalty? Is it a tax? Is it a penalty? Either way, Obamacare is an order, a command from the higher-ups. And what this whole debate hides is the real fact that people are being coerced into a system that kills and maims at a staggeringly high rate. I've covered many of the issues, many of the concerns that I have out there. And every day the concerns grow. And nobody in the Congress or White House brought that up during the process of promoting this bill. Well, they couldn't have because they didn't even read it. They didn't take the time to sit down and read it. They wanted it to pass. Why did Pelosi want it passed so much? You remember her. She sat up there and said, oh, why? We'll read it after we pass it. She wanted it passed so that people couldn't dissect it and see what the true nature of this program was or is. If you have a system that is already killing a huge number of people and you make the system bigger and bring millions of more people under that umbrella, the death toll is going to accelerate, isn't that, folks? Every year, the medical system in the United States kills over 250,000 people. Over 100,000 people die from these FDA-approved drugs. The FDA, Big Pharma. The other over 100,000 die as a result of mistreatment in hospitals. It happens, folks. I went there with I got a cut on my foot while surfing. Person decided, and it was in warm water, probably polluted water, and the person decided to sew it up. And they shouldn't have. Next thing I know, my foot's swollen up huge. It's infected. I'm on IVs. So what are we going to do about this? You know, our political structure, the United States political structure, lives and thrives on PR. And PR makes its money from empty generalizations. Empty generalizations and promises. In the medical arena, it's all about better care for all, humane concern for everyone. Breakthroughs are coming soon. Money for more research. And that part drives me crazy too. Money for more research. So we contribute money, like ALS, the whole ALS thing. 30% of it was given back. But what they don't tell you is that 30% was given back to research viable medicines for ALS. Who's that support? That supports Big Pharma. And if you talk to anyone with ALS, they're like, they've never given me anything. They've never supported me. You know, we shouldn't be out there supporting and being basically financing Big Pharma with these grants that the public's giving them. That's essentially what it is. It's a grant. Why not go to someone that has ALS? Let Big Pharma come up with a solution. You go up to the person, give them food, help them out at the local level. But this whole thing, this whole Obamacare, it has nothing to do with the actual effects of the system. It has nothing to do with reality. And here's the reality, folks. The U.S. medical system kills people. Over 2 million people per decade. And that's a system that's heading for a massive expansion under Obamacare. You have to choose. You can go with the empty PR, or you can face the fact and realize that it's going to happen. And the politicians that are in charge don't really understand what the medical system's doing to people. Or maybe they do. Maybe they're being deceitful like Gruber. Who knows? The death statistics, they're not a state secret, folks. Doctors are out there chopping off women's breasts for no reason. Medical drugs are putting people into the graves. Vaccines are causing neurological damage. Just do the math. Now, the other issue with Obamacare is the fact that many of the individuals that are making up the Obamacare Medicaid expansion, which Florida decided not to go in, and I saw an article where Bobby Jindal's Louisiana decided not to go with it, and they're financially impacting them in some ways. But was it a good decision? Because what they're saying is 42% of the Obamacare Medicaid expansion consists of immigrants. Now, they're trying to say they're legal. I don't know if they're legal or illegal. And if you talk to any Democrat, they'll tell you that's their favorite part, the whole Medicaid expansion. 27 states and D.C. have all expanded their Medicaid programs under this healthcare law. And that's not the only thing expanding. Like I said, the number of immigrants benefiting from Obamacare is disproportionately high, and it's growing every day. And this is based upon analysis of government data from Center of Immigration Studies, folks. And they're saying that 42% of immigrants accounted for Medicaid's enrollment from 2011 to 13, even though they only make up 17% of the U.S. population. It seems most certain that the immigrants and their children will continue to benefit disproportionately from Obamacare. And again, they're saying it's mainly legal immigration. I don't know if I'm buying that. That could be accurate. But what's to come? You know, Democrats are out there now pushing to take Medicaid expansion even further. pushing for Obamacare benefits, including Medicaid, to extended illegal immigrants made illegal by DREAM Act, or perhaps by Obama's amnesty that he's expected to push out. There's a number of organizations out there, from La Raza to the AFL, asking Obama to mandate Obamacare exchange eligibility for the Dreamers. And there's a good chance it's going to happen under this guy. So then what, folks? I mean, we're learning also that we're paying for ambassadors from foreign countries with Obamacare. Like I said, new stuff's coming out daily on Obamacare. Like I read this one article about children and how they're going to be fined if they fail to sign up for Obamacare. And it's going to shock many people out there because they're not expecting it. That's what you get with this great free and affordable health care that's out there, folks. But in 2015, the government's going to be activating new incentives that are embedded in Obamacare in an effort to get people to sign up. And as often with the case with many of the government says one thing, they mean exactly the opposite. And in this, what they're doing is they say incentive. What they will really mean is that they're going to penalize you if you fail to acquire government-mandated health insurance. But not just you, your children. Your children, folks, are going to be penalized too. So this penalty is meant to incentivize people to get coverage. This financial penalty for skipping out on health coverage will be more than triple. It's going to be about $325 per person, or 2% of your income. And for kids, guess what? Kids are going to be half that rate at $162.50 until they're 18. When they're 18, guess what? They got to go out and pay for their own $325. Either sign up for Obamacare at a rate roughly about $750 a month, or pay a $325 penalty, or 2% of your income, whichever is greater. Plus, if you have kids. How nice is that? That's that free Obamacare for you. But if you fail to sign up for Obamacare and you refuse to pay the penalty, your house will be raided by armed IRS agents coming in to seize your money, imprisoned for tax evasion, because it's now a tax, isn't it, folks? Welcome to the new America, where the government now has the power to compel you to purchase products from private companies under the threat of imprisonment or death. Because if you run from those armed IRS agents that are going to use their brand new militarized A-15s that they're getting through grants to ensure your compliance, you're in trouble. So at what point, or at this point, the only chance Americans have for the complete destruction of Obamacare is the Supreme Court. And right now, in the spring of 2015, they're going to review the legality of federal subsidies to cover health subsidies. The Supreme Court's going to look at it. They're saying, look, you can't subsidize these. The states can, but the federal government can't. Hell, even these days, even Democrats that supported the program are running from it and are up in arms because they're actually finding out what was in it. Gee, do you think you could have found all that out if you read it? These guys are suckers. A whole lot of them are suckers. You know, they supported this legislative action. Now it's unraveling. The entire economic fiber of the U.S. is in danger unless it's repealed or overturned by the Supreme Court. And that's one of the only actions I see. Even that ridiculous Republican government, they come in there, Bonehead Boyner and McConnell. They basically came out saying, oh, wait, we're not going to do anything about it. We can't do anything about it. After 6 years of saying, hey, if we were in charge, we'd repeal it. Now, Gruber. Let's get back to this Gruber. There was a joke out there. If Halloween hadn't passed, many Republicans would go as MIT's Jonathan Gruber. He's if that guy were to come in a room, most people in Washington are going to take off because of what he's saying out there now, and he's dangerous. His comments, this bill was written in a tortured way to make sure that CBO did not score it as a tax. I think I've just covered them earlier in the show, folks. Nancy Pelosi, I don't know who he is, although she's referred to his work in the past. Democrats are saying he was one of many advisors and that the $400,000 he was paid by the government was simply on his economic models. I'll create an economic model, give me $400,000. That's $400,000 of the $6 million total. This reaction looks like a panic as the Democrats trying to distance themselves from him, which is impossible. Because as Gruber says, he helped with the law. He visited the White House 5 times to help craft this law. Before he was causing problems for Obama administration, the Obama team was using Gruber to unsettle Mitt Romney's campaign. You have a video out there produced by the Obama campaign celebrating the anniversary of Romney Care, and Gruber's on it, folks. And he had another talk out there that's on video. There's so many videos out there anymore. But on that, he suggests that Obamacare was written so that the states didn't set up insurance exchanges, so that states that didn't set up insurance exchanges would not also get tax credits. If you're a state, you don't set up an exchange, guess what? You're not going to get tax credits. And all Gruber did was basically describe the truth of what both parties already know. That in order to achieve policy objectives, laws have to be written in a convoluted way to avoid political traps, including a politically bad assessment by the CBO. So, right now we're hammering Gruber, we're hammering the Democrats, we're hammering Obama for deceiving Americans. But it happens on everything, folks, with both parties. And it goes beyond that. The law was trying to deceive the CBO, to put out fake numbers to deceive the public. As Republicans try to dismantle Obamacare or act as though they are from their new position in Congress, Gruber, he will become an off-sided oracle of Obamacare. And he confirms a broader critique of conservatives have for the president, which is that he is either cynically thinks people can be fooled or he thinks they are not smart enough to know and understand what's good for them. And it's a shame, folks. It's a shame that we're being treated this way. We'll be right back. Longevity by the Uncensored Report.com. Ultimate EFA 60 soft gel tablets. Ultimate EFA is 100% organic and features a proprietary blend of essential fatty acids derived organically grown flaxseed oil, herbicide and pesticide free, folks, barrage oil and fish oil. They deliver a healthy balance of omega-3, 6, and 9s. Ultimate EFA. This is a must-have for people who want to derive the benefits of a full range of essential fatty acids organically. For the best results, Ultimate EFA as a part of your full nutritional program that includes Majestic Earth Classic. All right, and we're back, folks. Hey, by the way, did you guys happen to catch my weekend show? What do you think of it? Like I said, it's a local show, but I put a national perspective on it. I think I talked about civility, which impacts everybody in the United States, road rage, many different issues out there. So let me know, fabbruzzino@yahoo.com. Just go to any of my Facebook pages and let me know your thoughts on any of the subjects. Or if you'd like me to talk about different issues and look into different issues, I'm more than open to doing many of these things. Now, we're going to talk about the military. I'm a vet. I've had concern lately of the purging of many officers out there, but now you got this Medal of Honor general that's coming forward, and he's exposing Barack Obama for his secret, what he's deeming to be a secret military plan. So he came out, he had this startling admission, he's decorated, and he's basically stating that the future of the U.S. military does not look promising. And he's basically touching on the purging of the military by several former and current high-ranking members of the armed forces, and by the perpetrator behind the move, the Obama. People just are not happy with this guy. You got retired Army Major General Patrick Brady. He came out. He's a recipient of a Medal of Honor in Vietnam. He spoke to the media about Obama's secret yet obvious plan to demoralize and shrink the ranks of the U.S. military's sharpest and most experienced leaders. And he's out there saying that the outlook is grim. That up-and-coming military leaders are bowing out while they can before being forced to retire or relieved of their duties. And it's just disseminating the ranks. Part of the problem, he says, is Obama's new policy on homosexuals in the military, women joining the ranks of the infantry, and Obama's sequestration situation. A growing list of military leaders from the lowest to the highest ranks have been quietly and sometimes publicly removed and forced to resign because they're against Obama's military policies. Does this sound familiar, folks? And I ask that because if you're a historian and you basically look, I can't think of the two generals offhand, but basically, Hitler came out with his grand scheme to go to war, to march into Poland. A couple generals said, hey, look, this isn't a good idea. We need to stop this. We don't need it. Doing this is just going to escalate and go to war against England, France. We don't want it. Next thing you know, he went out and he found ways to force them into retirement, accusing one of being a homosexual, the other one of having a prostitute, a whore, as a wife, and forced them to retire. It is very, you look at this and you're very concerned. I'm concerned about the volume of officers that are being lost out there and just the process that we're going through to lose them. Just over the past 3 years, it's been an unprecedented number of 4-star generals that have been relieved of duty. Boykin, he's out there talking about it too. General Boykin. And he said that many civilians without military experience have often mentioned in his presence the word coup. Yes. A coup in the United States. We don't need that, folks. But what we do need is our legislators to stand up and do what's right. Do what the Constitution dictates. Do what what's law, humanity, morality dictate. Not let Obama continue to run rogue. This guy also talked to many of officers who are still active in the military. He says they're not able to voice their concern whatsoever publicly without fear of losing their jobs. But that's nothing new, As I was in there, I was an AZ3. I can voice my concerns without being punished. They don't want to hear about it, folks. So I don't know if that's an Obama thing. It's definitely a military thing. Like I said, over 200 high-ranking officers have been purged over 5 years. It's a pretty staggering number for depletion. If some of the greatest military leaders of our time are coming forward to say this, like with the case with Brady and Boykin, there's possibly a real problem that should be concerning to both members of the military and the rest of the American people, as this essentially undermines and cripples our national defense. Our capabilities are knocked down at unprecedented levels. So we should be worried about that, folks, shouldn't we? Especially when you got President Obama out there doing stuff like the latest action. His end around Congress on gun rights. It has the NRA concerned. It has many individuals concerned out there. Basically, the NRA came out and they issued a warning against this new UN Arms Trade Treaty, which is set to go in effect on Christmas Eve. And basically, it's a crackdown on Second Amendment rights. And the UN is dictating that we need to crack down on it here, along with the terms of this trade treaty. It hasn't been ratified. It's an end around Congress. Obama, he's an anti-gun president. And many are concerned that he could use this ATT, this treaty, and the international norms of compliance to rationalize enacting gun control by political executive action, especially in the import and export realms. Why not? He's done everything else by executive action. The U.S. delegation to the UN supports this treaty, but the Senate, which is going to be controlled by the Republicans, will not support it, and rightfully so. White House supports it, and the NRA fears that support eventually will weave into the halls of Congress or result into an executive order, and they should be concerned, and they need to keep this out into the forefront. Bring it to everyone's attention so it doesn't happen. Even now, with the existence of appropriation riders prohibiting action to implement the treaty unless approved by Congress, admin officials are publicly professing support for this international effort to control our arms. And under this treaty, participant nations are required to set up export-import controls for combat vehicles and small arms. The text of the treaty requires that participating member states establish and maintain national systems, including some type of national control list for weapons. So this should be concerning, especially with this rogue president in the office. And with this rogue president, Congress needs to step up now. That's controlled by Republicans. Well, it's been controlled. It's now they have a larger majority. And the Senate, to keep this president on a very short leash. You know, just as recent plans to grant legal status to some 5 million illegal immigrants through executive action. It goes directly against the will of the American voters and should be resisted by Congress. It's funny, I saw an article earlier today, too, where Obama's in there. I think it was from back in 2006. And he's in there essentially saying, look, illegals are a bad thing for the American blue-collar, middle-class worker. They're going to be taking away their jobs. Yet, now he's not saying that. And I'm telling you, immigration is a bad thing for the African Americans. He continues to keep the blacks down. Yet he has so much support from them. From entitlement programs. That's all it's doing, is keeping you down. So, we go out there. You got this president, this rogue president, looking at sending both legal and illegal immigrants. They're going to be adding disproportionately to our Medicaid rolls. They're going to be costing billions of dollars. Shows now is the time, folks, to employ greater scrutiny on who's coming into our country, instead of opening the gates to millions of illegals. You know, he's got his 10-point immigration reform plan that he plans on signing. In addition to facilitating legal status for highly sought-after specialists in a variety of technical fields and advocating the pay raises of the immigration. I think there's even some form in there basically stating that you have to give them some type of priority in employment. And if you don't look at them just because they're illegal, you could get in trouble. And the clear message from the admin and from Obama is that they do not want to rip apart families by removing illegals. So we're going to keep them together, even at the cost of the American society, American families, American economy. And it's flawed. You know, the only thing that's separating families from being here is the fact that they're illegal. They have a choice. They can go back to their country. We don't need to bring them all here. In many cases, U.S. citizen children were born here to illegal parents. They haven't been here that long. They're small little kids. Send them back to Central America. You know, look, many Americans have a tremendous compassion for the dire conditions of these illegals and what they face in their own countries. But that doesn't mean the solution is to open the floodgates and make it my dire situation, my economic challenge. We have many Americans that are out of work that would take those very same kind of jobs, folks, that these 4.5 million immigrants are going to come in and steal. It's really shocking that this is at the top of his agenda after an election which American voters resoundingly rejected this kind of policy. It's really surprising that he wouldn't move forward with this initiative. Or isn't it? Maybe it isn't surprising. with this rogue president. As you can see, it gets me up in arms. And again, folks, my father immigrated here from Italy. I have no issues with immigration. I have issues with illegal immigration. And many societies do. I read Italian news every day because I run a local site in Italy for where my family is. And I'm telling you, they feel the same. They don't enjoy all the immigrants that are flooding over from Africa. It's a huge concern for Italy. So, not sure what to do. So, this has been the show. Remember Longevity by the Uncensored Report. That's me. It's great organic vitamins, minerals. Get your supplement needs. They'll do auto ship to your house. The same price basically as GNC. Quality vitamins too. Not these cheap ones that if you put them in water, they don't even dilute. So this is a good quality. I take it. I'm a workout freak, and I'm sticking by it. It's a great product out there, and that's the reason why I'm pushing it. So check them out. Longevity by the Uncensored Report at theroguerant.com, and I will see you tomorrow at 11. Everybody have a great day.